I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending October the 18th, where unfortunately we do not have any price trends due to the nearly 3-week federal government shutdown that prevented any market reporting on the federal side. We would like to give kudos to most state departments of agriculture, as they actually do most of the grunt work on the feeder cattle reporting, as sitting in the sales and reporting those markets. And there was a sizable amount of feeder cattle auction market information out there, but due to the closing of the USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service website, the dissemination for those state reports was that pretty much shut down. That's the way most of them get those out. A few of them did have their reports on university websites and some places like that, but we will have those reports that were issued backlogged on our federal USDA-AMS website. However, your regional weighted average feeder cattle market prices this week were $2 to $5 higher than the last time that we pulled those, which was the last full week of September. Your full advance was seen in the southern plains on your true yearlings weighing over 700 pounds, which there's fewer and fewer of those all the time, and on 5-weight wheat calves, because there's been a lot of wheat planted in the southern plains, Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and it looks like going to have a lot of good wheat out there. Your feeder stocker cattle markets continue to show support and good strength right through this first half of October, and October is always the month where we've seen the most pressure because it's a month where you have the highest amount of calf sales. Your lion's share of your calves are going to be maybe not sold, but they are going to be shipped during the month of October. And even though we've got the smallest beef cow herd in 60 years, there are still literally millions of these calves coming right off the cow and being shipped to their new owner right during the month of October. Almost all of those big videos saw by far the most of their calves being shipped right in October there. But a lot of those calves are going to be hitting those feedlots, preconditioned yards, growing yards, whatever you want to call them. Some cowboys will try to straighten them up on the wheat if they're tough enough. But just the nature of the time of year, your up and down weather patterns, those calves having all the stress of getting separated from their mothers, probably hauled long distances in most cases, you're going to have a lot of sick ones, and you can't help that. It's just shipping fever. That's the nature of the beast. Whenever you move cattle and you wean them, a lot of them are not going to be able to handle it. But so that's a lot of work there, and we are seeing some pressure on those heaviest unweaned calves. Saw a lot of market reports. I was searching for market information too during the government shutdown, and about everywhere I saw a feeder cattle market, they said everything was higher, just higher. Well, those 6-weight balling calves are not higher everywhere. There's some pressure on those. There always is. It's October. It has to be. The numbers of those 6-weight balling calves, especially the fleshy ones, outweigh demand by far. And even though they're bringing a handsome price, there's still some market pressure on those heaviest unweaned calves, especially in the auction markets late in the day. We are starting to get some bigger auction receipts right now, and there's just going to be some bargains. It's like any auction. There's going to be some bargains, and it's always going to be your heaviest, fleshiest unweaned calves, and normally the heifers. But we've had ideal harvest weather. And it looks like we are going to indeed see some cheaper feed costs coming up. Most of your feedlots have already locked these in, but guys are going right through this corn belt right now, and a lot of them are going to end up getting most of the beans out before they get the corn completed. But we've been going right along on that. Your wheat planting is probably just about complete in the southern plains, and we're going to get a good stand on that. And as long as we have a little bit of sunshine for that wheat to grow, that's going to be a cheap way to put weight on cattle. About the only bad thing we've had in the weather is that freak blizzard that hit the western Dakotas, eastern Wyoming, which was a big exception there, and losses, cattle losses. A lot of places are estimating over 100,000 head of cattle that were lost in those areas. It's just unbearable. Putting families out of business, putting ranches out of business. Just the sickness in the pit of their stomach is probably too much to overcome on seeing some of these big mounds of piles of dead cattle. And you might hear some people say, well, cattle are going to get even higher. Well, 100,000 head is still a drop in the bucket to that big ranch country out there, but definitely not going to help our numbers situation right now. And we are seeing more and more, especially this last week here, that your percent of heifers is less and less in these auctions. And that just goes to show that more people are keeping these heifers back. They're selling them off the farm. A lot more heifers are selling as replacements in the auctions. In Kearney, Nebraska, on Wednesday there, they had 5 to 6 weight replacement quality heifer calves, 5 to 600 pounds, bringing from 201 to 208 and a quarter. That's for heifers. That's higher than the steer price. Up in Valentine, Nebraska, they had a fancy string of steer calves, 243 of them, weighing 492 at 220 and a quarter. A load of bigger fancy steers, calves, weighing 553, bring 198.75. Green City, Missouri, the yearling deal is still awful good. If you've got some thinner flesh, true yearlings, they're around 320, weighing 8 to 850 pounds in Green City. True yearlings averaged 822 at 170.76. Your regional weighted averages this week in the north central states, a 7 to 800 pound steer cost you 170.48. No price for last week. A year ago, 148.13. Down in the south central states, a 6 to 700 pound steer cost you 167.67. Same time a year ago, 148.70. Down in the southeast, a 4-weight steer on order cost you 172.15 compared to 156.93 a year ago. That wraps up your feeder stocker cattle market summary for this week. Check out our website that's back going right now at marketnews.usda.gov. And from the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.